Today's episode of If We Ran Nintendo is brought to you by the Trophy Room, PlayStation for the players, by the players. Check out Joseph and Kyle and everything they're doing over on at Bad Bit Games. Check them out on iTunes. I believe they're also on that amazing Podbean and everywhere you can go. Please take a minute, go check them out now. You ready?
No,
Oh my God!
will you just do me a favor and shut up?
It's almost 11, man.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm almost there. There we go. Let me make sure I didn't break something else, but we're okay. This is going to save you trouble in the long run. Don't give me shit.
If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 141 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri.
Bobby, it's good to talk to you, man. I didn't know you were just going to launch right into things here. I got to get my Google Docs open and everything. I've got notes. You know what? I've started to become a little more prepared, but back in the old days. When
we need to start doing Google Docs, because what I want to do with Google Docs, I actually use those for the show notes.
Right.
I want to take those right out and drop them into the show notes.
That's what we used to do in the when you died and you went away. I used to have I had pretty impeccable show notes, and you can ask Jason Lacey if he ever comes back to life. He's he's pulling a guru right now. You know that?
Well,
not quite.
No,
like you went
back
full
off.
guru.
Back off. He's got valid. He's fine.
I know. He's using you as a cautionary tale.
He's very smart by that. He's very smart.
It is.
He saw me and was like, I learned my lesson.
You know what, man? I miss that Jason Lacey.
Yeah,
I do. I do miss him a lot. I don't
know
how we got on this track, but
no, I talk to him occasionally. I hit him messages and all that, and good guy. I love him to death. I
like doing this. You know what? The show was right with him on it. Can you hear the baby crying? Can you hear that nonsense?
Sounds a little. I hear something
just
faint,
in the.
Whatever.
Well, I'm glad that you can just barely hear, because for me, my bones are creaking on the inside of my body. Just the baby is crying.
I love that.
During the podcast, you know.
So, Sean, let's kick
Bobby.
this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout outs.
Our geek outs. I feel like it's been over a week since we last got to geek out together, Bobby.
No, we're not geeking out. We're not geeking out. So, I want to throw the first shout out. I mean, not that the person will ever hear it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's something that has to be done. Reggie fils-aime.
Oh, yeah.
He retired yesterday. As we're recording, it was yesterday. Out of the blue, man. I did not see that one coming at all.
I know. Is he a lot older than we all think he is?
He's 58.
I mean, that's pretty good. He's pretty young. He's retiring.
He's young, but dude, he's worth I think someone posted the other day he's worth $40 million or something.
Is he really?
He don't need to work.
$40 million.
Yeah, he don't need to work.
Is it family money, or is it that's Nintendo
no, that's
royalties
and
stocks and things like that,
Probably
stock options?
Because he was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was marketing and CEO or some of that stuff with Pizza Hut. He actually created the Bigfoot pizza, if you remember that.
No, he didn't.
That was a thing. Yes, he did.
Did he really?
He come up apparently the concept and the idea and all that was his idea.
What a genius! This
guy,
man. I had no idea.
Yeah, man. So he's I feel like we're in good hands with Doug Bowser. I think he's going to do a good job. It's just very strange.
It is
to me anyway to think we're not going to hear from Reggie again. At E3, that's the thing. That I think is going to really bother me.
Yeah.
Is I look forward to him speaking at E3.
Yeah.
At least he was always an integral part of that particular direct. And it kind of sucks that, but the thing that I do look at when I look at him, I go, he sent the ship. He helped put the ship back on course.
Right.
Before he left. Kimishima, they did a phenomenal job with the Switch. Fixed Nintendo, and they're okay, we can leave now. But
really is it. They just kind of released all the numbers. They had a second terrific year. They were just short on those numbers, and yeah, this is an excellent time to leave. You don't abandon ship when everything is sinking.
Yeah.
You stick it out. I love it.
I did a Nintendo Guru Daily yesterday, and someone had posted on there like, it's just weird that they're leaving. He's leaving. I'm like, dude, it's John Elway, man. You leave after you win the second Super Bowl, and you just walk away, dude. You walk away on top. You don't give it a chance to crumble again. Jackie T did the same thing with Sony. He got them out. They were banging, you know, after the PlayStation launch, and then he was like, okay, I'm going. See you later.
Yep.
You know, and it's kind of what you do, man. Yeah. It's kind of what you do.
That's got to feel very cathartic. Like, that's got to be the most rewarding thing. You're just like, you just go out on top, and you have nothing to apologize for. You have nothing to worry about. You hand it to the next person, and they're in a great spot. Really, if nothing else, like, it's a tremendous amount of pressure for Doug Bowser. Like, don't mess this up, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I wonder too. I kind of wonder if the death of Iwata plays a bigger toll in this, meaning, like, Iwata passed away, and he was in the same boat as Reggie. Like, how much more money do you need? Yeah, you're making money hand over fist. But and of course, they got one of the, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what their day to day was, but like, it's got to be one of the greatest jobs ever, you know. But
it's got to be so busy though, man.
But when you're getting your balls kicked in because you have a bad system in the Wii U, I get it. I understand.
I think when you're so you're so entwined with Nintendo, like Japan, when your boss lives on the other side of the world, that is a 24-hour-a-day job, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's a tough one.
So for me, he probably looked at it like, hey, man, Iwata died very young. We're not promised tomorrow.
I see where you're going with this. Yeah, good point.
We got Nintendo righted. Let me leave now, spend a lot of time with my family, and just kind of live the rest of my days happy. Dude. You know, and that's the only thing I could figure. You know what I mean? Like, he must have just been like, hey, man, I seen what happened to Iwata. I love Iwata. We're riding high. It's time to go. Yeah. So,
you know, I have a lot of respect for that, man. In the world of, and I don't want to talk about unionizing game development and all that kind of nonsense. But Reggie took his life in his own hands, really. Like, he took his own path, and he's like, this is how I'm going to make life better for myself, not waiting for somebody else to make life better for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I respect that a lot.
I agree.
I'm going to miss him. You know, it seemed like he was reading off a teleprompter in his goodbye, and like in Reggie style, 100%, like even the way he said, and thank you. And like, it was just very like his direct, like it was just so Reggie. And yet still, I'm still seeing like messages all over the internet, and people like, I'm flat out crying my eyes out at this goodbye.
I got choked up, man.
I know, but how is that? Like,
choked up.
Only Reggie can pull that off, where he's clearly reading off of a teleprompter, like a thing that he's not like, it's not even like he's breaking up and catching like tears while he's delivering this message. They just got nostalgic video playing over top, and he's saying goodbye, and he's just saying the word. I don't know. How did he manage to just have this perfectly prepared statement, deliver this with no real emotion? Like, he was just making sure he got through it clearly, like a Toastmaster. And still, like, he elicits this response out of people. It's no different from when he's at E3 live or pre-recorded to this message. This guy is one of the most consistent dudes in video games, if nothing else. So I'm gonna miss him. It's very weird. I look forward to his hologram in future video. Him and Iwata. Like the Jedi ghosts of Nintendo.
Man, those guys. I always thought Miyamoto would retire before Reggie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know Miyamoto's kind of quasi-retired, but he kind of comes in and just does what he wants to do. He doesn't really, he's more of an ambassador than anything. But also with Miyamoto, it's kind of hard for them to be like, okay, he's walking away. Yeah. Like, how do you do that,
Yeah, it's a different life that Miyamoto has, He lives on a different plane than the rest of us mere mortals.
Yeah, that's true.
He kind of touches down every once in a while and then goes back up to his godly plane and world.
That's true.
He's a weird dude.
What about you? You have a shout out?
Well, we started out with one of my shout outs. It was truly to Jason Lacey. I really do love and miss that guy. I wish him all the best. And also my other brother from other mother, Luke Lore. I just want to give Luke Lore a shout out. He's helped me through some stuff. So I just really appreciate that. I had a really crappy week, man. And now it's Friday, so I get to talk to Bobby, so everything is good. I had not the best week, and I let stress and anxiety get the best of me earlier this week. But Luke was very patient with me. I was sick of hearing my own complaints, so Luke was even more patient than I was with myself. So I appreciate that. You're like, I know what that's like. You're smiling.
Listen, I caught a little bit of it last week. So
what do you mean? What did I do last week?
Oh boy, dude, when you called me. When I showed you the giveaway thing.
Oh, I know. What was happening? I don't even remember
the toilet or something was messed up or something was wrong, and you just lashed.
What the heck happened? I know. I was not ready for good. I was not helping you out there. You're like, I'm excited about this. I'm like, I'm really sorry, man. I just can't even. I can't even focus. I can't even remember what the heck it was. That's the worst part.
The toilet was broke, or something.
My toilet break. It wasn't. No. Was I mount? I don't even know, man. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
That's the worst part. That's the worst thing, man. I'm damaging relationships, and a week later, I don't remember what it was.
Exactly.
There's a lesson. Everybody else, let that be a cautionary tale. Everybody else,
Yes.
Holy crap! I'm sorry.
It's fine. I don't care. I care less.
Well,
so much so I just only remembered because you said something now.
I know. You're like, I know. You've been on edge lately.
I've been on a high this week.
Yeah, you're good. So, we balance each other out, so that's nice. Yeah, and Luke balances me out as well. So thank you, Luke.
My other shout out is I want to shout out to
Miss Click.
Well, kind of wrap it into that. She helped me out by helping me with this giveaway. I did Nintendo Talk Live with her last Saturday, and I announced this massive giveaway that I'm doing on my YouTube channel, giving away a Switch and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and a year of Nintendo Online and all this stuff. And the one thing that I want to say, though, is I want to say thank you to everybody that has supported me, that has helped me in any capacity whatsoever over the past year. The list just goes down to people that have been there, supporting me, helping me all along. But the explosion that happened from last week to this week is mind-numbing. To see the trajectory that things are taking off on. And it's just like, holy crap, dude. So I want to thank everybody that has supported me. I want to thank everybody that's followed me, everybody that's shared a video, done anything for me, anybody that's new that came into the channel over the past 2 weeks and all that stuff. Like, thank you guys so much. You don't know what it means to see every single day, dude. People commenting on the videos, man, I just found your channel, and I don't know how the heck you don't have more subs, how you don't, you should have a bigger following. The outpouring of support is crazy right now, and it's just exactly what I needed at the right time. So I want to thank everybody that was involved in that. So thank you.
Well, they're right. You should have more subscribers. And for everybody who does say that and think that, maybe they're thinking that and they haven't commented, one real easy way you can help my boy Bobby out here, just share it. Leave a comment, hit that thumbs up. It's so important. It's so stupid. What a silly thing. Leave a thumbs up and leave a comment, even just saying, I like this video. Great job, Bobby. Yeah. Share it. Put it on your Twitter timeline. Put it on your Instagram. Share it. Retweet. Everything. It helps. Leave a iTunes review. Telling you, man. It helps more than you guys ever know. Look at our friends. Shout out to the guys at OK Beast.
Yeah,
they freaking launched this Jumpmaster podcast, this Apex Legends podcast. They were number 2 on all podcasts about video games and hobbies. It was Car Talk and those guys, and it's because of reviews and sharing.
But how? It just blows me away. How do you launch and get that many reviews that quick?
I'm telling you, man, it's the community supports those guys like nothing else, and it is amazing to see. And it's a lesson for all other indie communities to rally around the people that you support. Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, I know there's a lot of new people who are probably watching the show maybe for the first or second time. And I really encourage you guys, if you like what you're seeing from not just this show, but everything else Bobby's doing on that YouTube channel, share that stuff, man. It really, really helps. Yeah. It's kind of like the first time that you came up on my show, Bobby, on We the Gamercast at the very end. That's what I needed right then. It was I pray to anybody listening to this show, get on this show, share this show, spread this thing around. That's what I needed, man. That was probably 3 years ago, coming up on our 3-year anniversary, Bobby. Yeah, we're getting there, dude. So
we're getting there, man. We're getting there.
I'm getting old.
You have
you
another
already-
shout out
I mean,
before? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
You have
sorry.
another shout out before we
No,
move on?
that's
or-
good. No, Luke and Jay and Miss
Okay.
Cluck.
So I want to jump into the new segment that we've been doing, developer showcase, and basically what I want to do during this, I want to take a quick moment, just to spotlight an indie game or any type of game that basically the developer has reached out to me to either do a review or do a video on or anything like that. And man, I just want to take a minute and say thank
Sit
you.
right there and tell you happy. Sorry.
I want to say thank you to Hype Train Digital. They are the publishers of this game. The developer is Inkstings Games, and the game is called 12 is Better Than 6. Such a good game, dude. This is a top-down shooter, hand-drawn. Looks like pen and ink. It is just really a classic look. Feels a lot like like a gauntlet type game. You're going from area to area, just taking out enemies. But basically, 12 is Better Than 6 is a hand-drawn pen and ink shooter with stealth elements taking place in the Wild West. The main character was wrongly incarcerated, and he's trying to escape at all costs so that he can get his revenge. Live through the journey of an escaped Mexican prisoner fighting for survival and freedom in the 1870s in the United States. Above all, it's a story about the people, their lives, and these people try to forge their own little piece of heaven in a violent yet hopeful new world. Again, it's just a really good game. Comes out on March 5th. You can go check it out on the eShop. You can put it on your wish list. We got the trailer playing now. If you want to check that out and all that stuff, go. If you watch it here, if you're listening to us, go check it out on the YouTube. I really feel like you don't want to miss this game. It's got unique shooting mechanics. You get to choose your own play style, different locations, which are basically real life places and towns. You can visit Austin, San Antonio, Albuquerque, and Houston. It's just crazy, the stuff they have. Authentic weapons. You can upgrade your weapons. It's just really, really good. So I encourage everybody to go check that out. So 12 is Better Than 6.
Game looks awesome, man. I know you're just kind of rolling through there, but
No, but go
you
ahead,
sent me
go
the
ahead.
trailer, and I'm like, we got to get this on the show, man. We got to get this.
Yeah.
And people listening to the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel and check it out. I gotta say, the show has never looked better. We're stepping it up, man. It's been a little while since we were take the quality up a notch. The show looks amazing, and it sounds amazing. Everything is amazing.
Yes.
We're building a wall. We're not building a wall.
But this game, seriously,
it looks so good. Well, the thing is, you get a lot of these indie games, and we like to spotlight them, and that's great. But as soon as I saw that trailer, I got so hyped. It looks like it's like dual stick, kind of like in the style of Hotline Miami, running around in this almost Mexico, but I think you said Texas.
It's Texas.
Yeah,
it's Texas. Yeah,
but very south of the border inspired.
Yeah, it is. So basically,
hand drawn aesthetic. So good, dude.
What you're doing is you're using the left stick to aim.
Yep.
And then you're actually pulling the triggers.
Yep.
And then you can pick up different weapons that are on the ground, pick up knives and all this stuff. And
it's my favorite new style of game. Like Hotline Miami, Mr. Shifty, you played these kind of games, you know what you're getting into, and I was immediately captivated by the style. So definitely check this out, man. Really cool trailer. Support these guys. Very, very cool.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so
all right.
Let's jump into some topics. The name that shall be never spoken again on the show.
Relax.
Just calm down, sir.
We're gonna call him the Ox from now on.
Yeah, they call him the Ox. So we have two topics that I want to get into.
Yeah, these are good topics, man.
So if we ran Nintendo, should we step in and reject games that are brought to the Switch with known bugs / issues? Example being Final Fantasy IX. So a lot of times what happens is developers will port a game to something else, which in this case, Square Enix ported Final Fantasy IX to PC. They did a little bit of up-res to it, and there's apparently a lot of bugs in the game that people knew because they reported them after Final Fantasy IX went to the PC. Apparently, Square Enix just brought that game directly over to Nintendo and dropped it in and was like, we're going to port this over. Let's go. Nintendo, in all their excitement, was like, okay, bring it on. But I feel like there's a disservice by Nintendo here. Like they need to I feel like they need to dip back into their well of the seal of quality and put a team here to go. Your job is, if we know that a game was ported from another game, like we know a game's being ported over to us, you need to look and see what the bugs were, because it's not difficult. It's so easy to find out if there's bugs in games. If there's bugs in the games, you need to then stop and then look at it and go, you need to fix this stuff before you bring it over. I don't care if it's Square. I don't care who it is. I feel like Nintendo needs to step in here. But how do we do it? Like, what exactly what do you think? What do you suggest?
I mean, I think this is a great topic, and I think that I'm getting a sense of where you are going to go with this. Like, it seems like the first thing that came to my mind was that seal of quality that really was enacted to begin with, to sort of as a response to the crash that happened with Atari and all the crappy games that were being made. And so it was this symbol that video games were being evaluated before and actually run through some sort of process before being released, that there wasn't just junk being delivered anymore. And so I wonder, as you bring this up, like, I wonder if that has still a place in the world. Like, do we require that? I don't think that the landscape, even though we have more games than ever, and there's probably by number, the raw number of games that are really crappy, probably exponentially larger than it was back in the day. But it's, as a percentage of the games that are out, I think that there's still enough quality out there that we don't necessarily require this. I think gamers and audiences aren't looking at a bad game as a symbol of, like, all games are bad. I think that there's still a sign that whether it's you can just go to first party games from Nintendo to go, there is still hope. And I think that that seal of quality was a symbol of hope, that there is quality games that can be purchased and that there is an attention to detail. So I'm nervous, man, because I think about, like, what would the relationship be then? And how then, I have a couple things here. How do you determine, like, how bug free does the game have to be? Like, I don't think there's ever such thing as 0 bugs. So then do you go like 5 bugs? Do you, like, weight it? Do you go like there's a game breaking bug, so therefore you're not allowed to release? I think it gets a little bit tricky. And then the other thing that I would say is, like, what if Square Enix or Ubisoft or any of these companies who are supporting the Switch in a big way suddenly going to shut the door on them? Like, it's a very, I don't know, I feel like it might be a step backwards. I feel like Nintendo has evolved in a way, but I see what you're saying. We don't want crappy games on our system if we ran Nintendo.
I mean, the thing is we're in a very delicate situation right now, because we're pushing 2,000 games right now into year 2. And if that's the case, where do you, and I think as I'm speaking now, I'm wondering, where do you draw the line?
Right.
Do you then go to all the shovelware that's coming and go, no, you need to hold up. We need to check your games more in depth. I think right now Nintendo is so understaffed that they're just pushing everything through as quickly as possible, to the detriment of the developers, where developers are trying to get trailers put up. They can't get the trailers put on the webpage. There's been complaints from different developers in that ballpark, in that realm.
So I see what you're saying. So instead of this being a response to consumers responding poorly to or adversely to bad games, it's just a way of weeding things out so that you don't have this onslaught of games. It's kind of like, okay, guys, go do your homework before you're actually able to hand this in.
I think that, I mean, the thing of it is like, what bothers me is if a company knows this game had issues when you ported it the last time.
Yeah.
Why would you just port the same exact thing with the problems? To me anyway, it's a slap in the face to the people that have been supporting you.
Yeah.
Since you've come to the Switch. Like, take a minute here, Square. Like, what was it? A few months ago, you were getting slammed because you're hurting financially. But the only saving grace in all of that is the Nintendo fans buying all your games right now. And then you have the opportunity to do some goodwill by putting out a great game like Final Fantasy IX, and you give us a garbage version.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more bothersome. Like, it's just like you're just going to port everything over, whether it's good, bad, and different.
But
and
who
it's
does
like,
that hurt? Does it hurt Square more than Nintendo, or does it hurt Nintendo more than Square, or
I think it hurt. I think obviously it hurt Square.
Yeah.
But I think it obviously hurt. But here's the thing: if it hurts Square, it ultimately hurts Nintendo. Because if sales, because here's what happens in my mind: people are pissed off about this, and now they look at it and go, "Well, do I want to buy Final Fantasy VII? Because was that version buggy? That when they ported that over to another, do we want to buy that version? And then Final Fantasy X and X-2, and then like, do we want to buy those versions? And it's like, do we want to buy? Seriously, do you want to buy Dragon Quest when that comes? Like, I think you start to run into this area where it's like, hey man, as a Nintendo fan, I want to support developers that support Nintendo, but if you're going to just send me your trash, I'm not going to keep buying it. And I think that's where Nintendo needs to be careful. And they need to just go to Square and have a sit down with them and go, listen, guys, I know we're getting back into a good relationship. I know we had a rocky road for a long period of time, but you can't do this. Like, not just because you're shafting Nintendo fans. You can't do it because on the business side, it's just not wise. It's not good business.
Well, it's funny because the end result would actually be that these publishers would ship up and create games that were of better quality, and it would be because of Nintendo. Like, the end goal would actually be for these games to be a little cleaner, a little tighter. But that's not like, it's so, I don't know where I land on this, because it's not necessarily Nintendo's responsibility to police the others, because like, sales should be teaching those lessons on their own. Like, if a game is buggy, gamers don't buy them. They teach the publisher and the developer the lesson that, like, we're not going to accept this crap.
Well, so, let's be fair here. Didn't Nintendo set that tone though?
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's why I'm struggling on this, because you don't have to look very far. You just go to the first party stuff.
Yeah.
And go, well, if you guys are going to release all this buggy crap, it just makes us look even better, because we're not wavering on our commitment to quality games. Yeah. So you can go ahead and just port everything over, but just know that when we port things over, they're going to sell well every time, because people know that things that come from the Wii U onto the Switch are worth it. They're bug-free. They're great representations of great games. And I think that might speak for itself. But Square I don't know, man. They're in a different place. All the companies come from different places, where maybe Square's just trying to, like, fill in some gaps here. They're just trying to, like, get some cash in the door. We're sending them the wrong message by buying them, like, buying Final Fantasy IX just because we like Final Fantasy IX. We're not looking at, is this a good port? Like, we almost don't even talk about that anymore. Like, I'm glad. That's why I'm glad this is a topic, because we don't really. I remember back in the day, we always used to like this is good port, this is a bad port, this is a great port, this is a bad, and like we knew what that meant. We started to get into that a little bit when we started to see like things like Rocket League come over, like Panic Button became the port house. Those guys are amazing. So I don't know, man. It's just a matter of like what you want to get out of it, and I think that I could be sold on this notion that requiring publishers and developers to reach a certain quality with the end goal of limiting the number of games that are releasing, so that games that are good can be highlighted and spotlighted, not be drowned out by all this shovelware. That I could be sold on.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think my fear is this. So you remember during the Wii U era, a lot of third parties jumped ship because they were saying, well, games don't sell well on Nintendo consoles. Right. And that's what I think ultimately I'm trying to avoid. I look at it and go, if we stop them from putting this trash on the... Because look at people bought Final Fantasy IX. It's done. And now they've already realized, like, hey, this thing got bugs in it. Bad bugs.
Bad bugs?
What do we do here? How do we fix this? You know what I mean? And so my feeling is Nintendo needs to take a hard look at Final Fantasy VII that's coming at the end of this month, and just go, wait a minute, Square. Like, is this thing as bad as 9? Or did you fix it?
Well, the thing is, we should know better by now. We've seen them do terrible ports of a lot of things before. We've seen them do, like, Chrono Trigger on the PC. Didn't they just launch that not too long ago? And it was,
and that was bad, too.
It was a gong show, dude. So maybe, like the players play a role in this as well. And that can be a bit of a, as if I ran Nintendo, I might go, that's a bit of a, like, you guys deal with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you buying this garbage?
Here's the thing. I think
do you want to be making decisions for gamers is also how this can be very twisted. We have to remember that we now live in the world of social media and the court of public opinion, which can turn very, very quickly. If Nintendo is making decisions, we've seen this really turn on Sony recently with a lot of their censorship stuff. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's very different.
I think what Nintendo needs to do, because you need that relationship with Square. I think Nintendo recognizes. But here's the thing, Sean. Just because you need the relationship doesn't mean you let them just throw garbage on your system at the same time.
Well, I mean, I like the way you say that. That makes sense to me.
I think what Nintendo needs to do is they need to go, we need this relationship. You need this relationship because your relationship with Sony isn't that strong over there. You're not selling the games the way you want to sell over there. So listen, look, we need to work something out here. How do we work this out? It's very simple. Let us help you with the porting of these games. Let us work with you and just go, here's a team.
Well, then you need a cut then. You need a bigger stake.
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean,
if you're going to apply resources into actually like making the game better, you need a bigger cut.
And I'm sure that can be worked out at the end of the day. But maybe you up it 10%. Like I think they take 30 or 40% right now of the games that get put on the eShop.
Yeah.
But I would just go to them and go, look it. Because even if it's a show of good faith, Sean, even if it's like, hey, because I really believed all along that Nintendo should be working with some of their major third parties anyway to go, hey man, this is how we crunch games. This is how we get games that are so big. This is how we compress them to get down to what they need to be. I mean, dude, you got games that are 5 gig. Like, it's insane. And then you got games that are like why wouldn't Nintendo go to a game like, or a company like Rockstar and go, hey man, we want to get Grand Theft Auto over here.
You know what I think that gets us back to though, man, is like the old Super Nintendo and Genesis days where you had like Aladdin is a different game.
Yeah.
Like, where you actually have like completely different builds of games. We've gone a long ways away from that. We've gotten to porting.
Again. Yeah.
It's right click save as more or less. But yeah, we used to have like, that's really what you're talking about, is like help like create almost 2 games parallel to each other.
Yeah.
Is kind of where you're going. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd like to hear what people think maybe in the comments. But I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant to
I mean, I understand your hesitation. I get that. But I also feel like we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our partners to make sure that they're putting out the best quality game, not just for us, not just for the fans, but for them.
Well, you might be forward thinking, man. I'm hesitant because I'm just like, I'm not sure, but like maybe there's something to it that like maybe we are headed towards another big crash. Like we're looking at people, like 800 people losing their jobs a week, it seems, and maybe the tides are turning. And Google coming into play here. We've got a presentation coming up from them. Like big things are happening. So maybe there's something that is required so that Nintendo's brand sticks above the rest, where we've got more players than ever. It's easier to make games than ever. So maybe it's becoming time to shake things up a little bit and raise the bar.
Yeah, I think that if we go to Square, I just feel like we should have some type of, and maybe it's just not Square either. Man, you know what I mean? Like,
I think I'm swinging back around on this.
Yeah, maybe there's a team that like says, hey, we're going to float and we're going to go help all of our partners. Yeah. You know, because ultimately we've been through the Wii U era. We know that we can't ride it by ourselves. We know we can't push games out and I mean, look at year 2.
Can you imagine though? Like look at the conversation we're having versus when we first started the show. We're like, please, anybody, God, put your games on our system.
Yeah, man.
And now we're like, maybe you want to work on that a little longer. Maybe we don't want you to put every single idea that you've ever had onto our system. That's crazy. Look, that swing from pure desperation to like actually looking at closing the doors.
And I'm not saying closed doors. That's the one thing I don't want to come across is, but I feel like you need to have a stern conversation with them to just go, I think you need to put a little bit more quality. Like right now is the time you go to them and you go, hey guys, do you have any intentions of fixing Final Fantasy IX? Like there's bugs in this game. The fans are complaining. The people that bought them are complaining. you have any intentions on fixing this.
Maybe there's another way to reprimand them though. Maybe there's like maybe you get docked down the list of featured list of best selling.
And I'm not saying, but I'm not saying dock them. I'm not saying doing anything. Only thing I'm saying is help them get their games better. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tell people you can't bring the game. I'm not telling them. I'm just saying you go to them and you go, listen, do you have an intention on fixing Final Fantasy 9 or not? If they say no, then you go, okay, look, we want you to take we understand what you're doing here. We want you to take a harder look at 7 before that comes. Is there bugs in this version that you're planning on bringing? If there is, let's work together to fix this.
But play that scenario out a little bit too, though. These are games that are not exclusive to Switch. Square's launching these games on everything. So then you have a situation where Nintendo is the only publisher or platform holder holding these high standards, and then they go like, well, I guess if they're going to make it tougher for us, or even if we've got to jump through these old school Nintendo hoops, we'll just go back to where it's easy. Like I don't know, man. That's the short term.
But are Sony and Xbox helping them to get it better, and then turn around and go, hey man, the better version's here. And people, you can't tell me that if Nintendo would have gone to Square and said, hey, let's fix this and let's dress it up and make it better, and the fans heard that they did that more copies wouldn't sell on a Nintendo Switch than the other guys. Nintendo's already kicking the crap out of Xbox and Sony when it comes to... I
don't disagree. This is the only time they'd be able to do that. In 20 years, this is the only time they'd be able to play something like that.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, hey, look it. You need to trust us in the idea of like games are selling like crazy right now over here. So let's make it a better version. So this way the fans are happy.
Maybe they should have done that with Morphe's Law, Bobby.
That's another one too.
I love that's another one. Nobody talks about Morphe's Law. Nobody cares. That was such a mistake.
Well, that's the problem.
Oh my gosh, Bobby.
But I mean, like that's the thing. Like you look at it, right, and you go, like, what do we do? It's just, I just think I'm upset about this particular game because I was really super excited to play it. I did buy it. I bought it right away, day one. But I'm disappointed because of all the complaints that are coming out, and it's like, man, this is just as bad as the PC version. It's the same exact bugs. Everything's the problem. It's like, man, I was so looking forward to jumping into this and pushing forward, and I still will. But it's like, I just feel like as a consumer, it bothers me a little bit. As in a situation of if we ran Nintendo, it's like, I'm not saying we tell them not to do business. I'm just saying we say, let's work together.
I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying is that that's the way it will be interpreted. Is okay if
by
you make
who,
it
though?
By anybody making a game who codes to Nintendo where previously and where everybody else is saying like essentially self-publish, and Nintendo's saying like you better step it up. They hear that message and they go like, well, screw you. And I get what you're saying about like Switch is selling like hotcakes and games are selling more on that system. So this is really the only time ever that a publisher may go, you know what? I really, really do need my game on Switch in order to make things work out here. But I do think that there's going to be quite a few individuals who respond to that rule and go, thanks, no thanks. And that's what I'd be worried about.
Don't you think it's a bigger issue if the games aren't fixed than if they are?
I think it's on the publishers. I don't think that it's impacting Nintendo nearly as much. Again, like the things that drive revenue for Nintendo, of course, are some of the third-party stuff. And of course but it's the hardware, it's the accessories and it's the first-party games that are lining those guys' pockets. And as long as Nintendo games are polished, then what do they got to worry about, man? Who cares?
I think they have to worry that they can't run it by themselves. And if a company like Square that is hurting financially, to me, this is just a cash grab. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at it and go, okay, we have a company that's hurting. Let's try to help them get them better and stronger for the next version that comes out and the next game comes out. I mean, dude, they publish.
So do you do that for everybody, or do you do that? Do you look at Square special?
I would use Square as the starting point.
Yeah. Right.
And then I would go to Bethesda next and go, hey guys, you brought us, you brought us these games, and they're buggy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's work on fixing it. You know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't just stop and start there. I've always felt like, why doesn't Nintendo help these third parties to make them better, and to turn around and go like, hey, we're going to teach you compression. We're going to teach you some tricks and stuff to get you better. And I understand you don't want to give all your secrets away and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like if you had a team go in and look at it, very similar to what Iwata used to do.
Sure. So the panic button has figured something out. Like, the thing is that these aren't even like black magic tricks. Like, it's not like in some locked away secret cave somewhere.
Yes.
There are developers who have figured this out. So maybe there's something there. Maybe it's not even just directly from Nintendo, but maybe through first, second, third parties that are close third party partnerships.
I mean, you think about it right now, right? We're in a situation where Epic Games figures out how to do crossplay right. And then what do? They put it together. They put a package together. You go, anybody that wants to figure out to do crossplay, here's a package. Go make games crossplay.
That's what I'm talking about. Nintendo didn't have to touch that at all.
Yeah, the company that did voice chat for Epic Games, I think it's Voyox or whatever, they did the same thing. They put a package together and they were like, hey, if you want to make voice chat work across games, here you go, done. And I feel like it's this weird world that you're in where everybody just is doing things to help each other now, where it was a competition. And I think these game companies are starting to recognize we need to work together. We need to figure a way to help each other and do things rather than mine. And I think it can lead to some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this point, and then I'll drop it. What if? Okay, so this show is on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts and whatnot. The argument could be made that some podcasts are better than others. Some podcasts go up with janky audio, with bad music, with this, that, and the other thing. Kids crying in the background, for God's sakes. What if Apple came down and said, like, nope, fix that before you publish it on our system? Nope, you can't. This is allowed.
I wouldn't have a problem. Okay, so let's
let me help you. Actually, that'd be kind of nice if Apple came down.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the point.
What if Apple said we need to go through a screening process first?
Yep.
And then they come to you and go, man, your audio is off. This is what you need to do. This is how you do compression. This is how you get your file sizes down.
So much, Bobby. It's so much.
But here's the thing, Sean. If they were to turn around, and I'm not saying they would do it to us, right?
Obviously.
I guess the way to explain it would be this. Let's say that we are on iTunes, and we're doing our thing, and we decide we want to go to Google Play, right? And Google Play listens to our podcast, and they go, hey man, you got like 50 episodes in the tank here. Yeah. Right? You got 50 episodes in the can. They're really bad. They sound bad. Not they're bad. They sound bad.
Yeah.
We're going to help you fix that. If you want to, you can still come in, you can still do what you want to do, but we feel like it's in your best interest and in the consumer's best interest. If you come in and you go, hey, this is what you got to do. Try this, try this, try this, try this. Or here's a packet that has everything in it. You need to go through it and fix your show. And I feel like I wouldn't have an issue then. If they're saying to me, now you need to fix it before you come here, and don't tell me how to fix it, that's a bit of an issue.
Right.
But if they're turning around and going like, we're going to show you the way, that's a different ball game you're talking about. You're not talking about like, hey, there's a gate, don't come in. You're talking about, hey, there's a gate, but come in, and we're going to teach you how to make this right. It
would almost be like a GDC hosted by Nintendo on like, here's how you make games for. Like, you can almost host the thing and make it fun. I mean, I'm not all the way there, but you got me a little further than I thought you would.
I think that would it ever happen? Hell no, it's never going to happen. Nintendo is not that type of company to that degree. They're a good company, and they do try to do a lot of good things, and they're definitely changing their ways right now. But I don't see them ever doing something like this.
Yeah,
they got their secrets that they're going to keep to the end of time. It's just the way they do things. But I feel like the company that does do something like this helps themselves. I mean, you think about it, like how. Well, we'll get into that later. I'm not going to really. That's something I shouldn't be talking about. So I started to go down a path, and I was like, I got to stop. Yeah. Okay. So I think we wrapped it up. I think you're kind of quasi against it. I'm kind of more for it. But I think ultimately,
the benefits. Like that. That is obvious to me. It plays out differently.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's try to wrap it up into a bow. My side is I'm saying I would create a team. Your side is saying you would do nothing at all?
I think the most that I might do is host. Like, throw a conference 3 days, go have sessions. This is like learn from some of the best in Nintendo and become a leader in that space.
That's not a bad idea, honestly. That's not a bad idea.
I don't know exactly. I don't know anything about what those sessions might be, but it would be very interesting. Like, GDC is like everybody. But if there's like, if Nintendo goes GDC, but like if anybody's interested on like taking your games to the next level on a Nintendo system, like that's some like puffing your chest out and like strutting around kind of stuff. Like, we are so great, and you want to be on our system so bad that we're gonna teach you how to stand above the rest, because we know there's a problem, and rather than, we basically have two choices: we shut things down, and then we close the flow of games coming out on our system, or I think what your point is, just make everything better. Instead of just trying to shut things out that suck, make the things that suck, make them into gold. That might be a better strategy overall, man.
That's true. That's true. I like that better. I do like that better than what I was going with. Okay. So there we go.
Look at that. We did
it. Okay. So one more topic. We got about 15 minutes, 17 minutes. We're good to go.
Okay.
All right. So our second topic, Nintendo just put out a demo this past week for Daemon X Machina, and it's with that demo they also put out a survey. So what I'm curious is, with surveys being distributed for Daemon X Machina, what would we do if a game is close to shipping and the survey results are bad? What is a reasonable amount of time to delay the game? So right now we're going through a situation where there's a lot of games being delayed. We know that obviously if you use the Octopath Traveler timeline, because that's the last time they did something very similar to this. In theory, if you believe the rumors, this game is supposed to ship in May.
Yeah.
So that's, what are we, like 4 months away, 3 months away, something like that?
Yep.
So if the game is about to ship in 3 months, and they're putting this demo out to kind of get a feel for what people like, what they don't like. What do we do if the game comes back and it's bad, it's got problems? Do we stop?
Do you mean like Nintendo?
What right now in this situation with this game, Nintendo has said that this game is coming in 2019. So we say the game's coming out in 2019. Because even though Octopath Traveler was basically put out by Nintendo, it was produced by Nintendo, it was published by Nintendo. Like, yes, Square built the game, but Nintendo was working hand in hand with them.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So in this particular game, this is a Nintendo game, right? We're in a situation where they put out this survey to get the feedback from the fans after playing the demo. Do we shut it down and go, we're going to have to delay this game a year? Because okay, so everything that I've heard so far with this game, it doesn't control good. Yeah. And I've played the demo. And I believe in a lot of the stuff that these people are playing. It's very confusing.
Created my character. He's very handsome.
Okay, so how much did you play of it?
That's it. I tried to do something really, really quickly, and I was not anticipating having to create a character. So I was going to try it right before we played tonight, but maybe on the train next week I might get into it a little bit. But I've been scared away by it, actually.
Yes.
By everybody, people talking about it.
What I played was, it felt like the controls were very clunky. I didn't feel like they were very fluid. Mm-hmm. It was very confusing to play the game. I didn't realize where enemies were. I couldn't find them in the map.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what the map was doing, and it's weird because you would think that there would be if we're doing a demo, at least have more of a tutorial, especially with this type of game where it's brand new. Nobody's ever played this game before. It's not like it's an IP like Splatoon 2. Like we've already put out Splatoon 1. We know what it is. This isn't the sequel where we're like, hey, we're going to make the sequel better. It's something that's totally different. And I get what Nintendo's trying to do. Hey, here's a new IP. We need to figure out what people like, what they don't like. Let's put some fixes on it. But what do we do if this thing comes back and people are like, this is a dumpster fire, man?
Well,
like, this thing is really bad.
The thing that I think the way that the topic was phrased, which set me on a bit of a path when I was preparing for the show, was what do we do if the survey results are bad? Which,
yes.
like, we don't really see this too often. We don't really see game makers put out a game and then go, like, tell us what you think in a survey. They're always saying, like, provide us with your feedback. And so people usually take to Twitter and bitch and complain over there. And I thought this was an interesting approach, man, because, like, for me, with a marketing background, like, I don't think that I would use a survey in this way. I think that, especially because my understanding from game developers is that they know when a game is bad. And I feel like that's why they're doing the survey. I think what they're trying to do with the survey is not necessarily determine whether or not a game should be delayed. They know really what needs to be worked on and what needs to be fixed, what is and isn't playing well. What I think the survey would actually allow them to do is refocus maybe their marketing efforts and get to know what is clicking with people and what is not clicking with people, so that when they have their messaging out about this game, they lean into the things that people are liking and they kind of shy away from the things that people aren't liking. I think that's really the only real change that you can get out of a survey at this stage. Everything else, I think they know. I feel like they know. Now, that leads us into maybe the next part of the topic, which is what is a reasonable amount of time to delay a game. And that, I feel, is not really in the it's not because of the survey. I feel like it's just they need to get the game up to par. Speaking of the seal of quality, you know that it's got to be actually a decent game to play. So it's just a matter, like, I feel like surveys have more to do with the marketing side, but game developers know how to fix the controls. They know if it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, and I think that's mainly a big, or not mainly, but I think that's a big issue. I think that they're in a situation where this thing is bad, and they know it's bad, and they don't know. I think they're in a situation where they're like, hey, how do we actually fix this?
Well, and is it salvageable? You and I have talked about this before, and we've had developers on the show talk about how you don't even know. You can spend all the time in the world developing this one key feature in a game, and then you play it 2 years later because it's taking you that long to build it into the game. You're like, this isn't fun, or it doesn't feel good, or whatever it is, and then you got to kind of undo it. So that's why I thought it was quite interesting to see that the survey would steer the ship on this, and I don't buy it. I really don't. I think it's a way to open themselves up and become vulnerable in a very transparent way, which I appreciate. To say, we're still looking, we're still searching, we're still kind of like soul searching a little bit on this, and I appreciate that. I think in terms of how long should this game be, or what is a reasonable amount of time to delay this game, I think at this point, and whatever it is that they need to do, they should just fix it. This game has not been something that we've been hearing about for a long, long time. It's far from like the Crackdown situation that happened over on Xbox, where it just kept like years after years, or worst of all, The Last Guardian or things like that. Like, I think that they're still within the realm of reasonability that they could probably like push. Honestly, they could probably push this game a year.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you feel a year is okay? I feel like a year is okay. Anything after that, you're in trouble.
I agree.
I feel like you need to, if you're gonna, I would almost say, after playing that demo, and I don't know what build that demo was. I don't know if that's a close to finished build or if that's a very early build. Not really sure.
I mean, it gets into an interesting conversation that we don't really dive in. That's why I love this show so much, because I think some of these things that we are pretty flippant about, like, oh my God, just make this game so great. Just work on it until the end of time, until it's amazing and perfect, like whatever that even means in game development. Like, there comes a time where you got to go, if we spend another day on this game, it's going to cost $25,000 or whatever it is. There's a monthly cost, or there's a cost associated with more development time, that at a certain point you can just see like the costs go up and the profits go down, and you just kind of have to make a call. You're like, well, this is the date, and you're done, and we're just gonna move on to the next thing.
And I think that they're good. I think Nintendo's very good at that. Where, I mean, I like, you look at a game like Star Fox Zero. And I feel like that was the same situation. They looked at it. They did delay that game a little bit, and they looked at it and they were just like, finally, they're just like, this is as good as it's going to get. Let's get it out there. That little bit of work that you're going to do isn't going to make it a million seller. Games aren't selling on the Wii U anyway. Just get it out the door.
Well, this relates to the first topic about making games of a certain quality that people expect out of Nintendo. And they acted upon this with Metroid, and maybe they're kind of opening up a little bit on this game. Maybe they're just hinting that that's a pretty tight timeline considering where they're at with it. But who knows, man? Who knows when the final cut of that game was, or the demo was? Maybe they're further along. I don't necessarily buy that. Every time that I've seen
I
that,
don't either.
every time I've seen, like, we get a lot of betas these days. We get a lot of alpha access, and people are like, well, it's just that was from a version of the game that was cut like 6 weeks ago or whatever. And it's like, that's, I don't know, man. That's not a lot of time when games are being created over like 4 years or something.
I think I remember hearing. I think I remember hearing Luke say something about Anthem, that somebody was complaining about a demo and the build, and he was like, well, it was like 6 weeks ago or whatever, and like Luke was saying almost to the idea of like, well, there's a lot of time left that they could fix it. Like 6 weeks is a lot of time. But the thing is if the build was 6 weeks, that means they've been working for 6 weeks. What have they been doing for those 6 weeks? And
well, they've been working on the final build. They've been working on the final build, of course.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that, but like that time, I feel like 6 weeks isn't a lot of time to do major changes.
Yeah,
I feel like a build that's 6 weeks ago. If it was a build that was 6 months ago, then you go, oh my god, they've made so many drastic changes in that time. But a 6 week build, there's not a lot of time that's changed, and that's my curiosity with this particular thing. Is this like a build that was 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Where they've been working this entire time, and maybe they're just going like, maybe it's a situation where the developer or the director was like, hey man, we made these changes. We feel like these are strong changes. Present it to people, and if I'm wrong, then I'll go back and do your changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, an example is like, and the best example I'll use is Zack Snyder, where he was putting out this is why I'm saying that. He was putting out a movie, right? And then the studio came back and was like, here's the changes we want you to make. And he's going, I don't believe in these changes. I don't think we should make these changes. And the studio's like, nope, you have to make these changes. If you don't, we'll get someone else in here that'll make the changes that we want. And maybe it's one of those situations where the director of the game is going like, I believe in this game the way it is. And Nintendo could be saying like, well, let's put it out to the people. Let's put a build out and see what they come out and say. And he could have been taking it to one direction. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're just like, hey, we don't believe in this. You know, and he might. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why Nintendo would do something. I do know that, like with Octopath, they put the demo out, but that was so far after. You know what I mean? Like, that game was so far after, which makes me think that the leak that came out that said that this game was supposed to be coming out in May is probably wrong. Because if that game comes out in May, what does this survey do for you?
That's what I'm saying.
Survey does nothing for you.
In terms of game development, but maybe marketing.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Maybe. I just know that I just pray ultimately that game that I played, that demo I played is an old build, because that game is not fun.
But how many times do we get to see like a demo that shows up kind of weak, and then we get the final game and it's like, oh my god, this thing is completely blowing my mind? Like, that never happens. Ever. And as we get a little bit more ingrained and we start to see a little bit more behind the curtain on a lot of these game developments, like we're really seeing a lot these days with, especially with like these Kotaku reports and things, we get to see more than we would have in the past. And so what I would like to see, I don't know if it's in podcast world or something, like, we need a little bit more education as fans on like what we should be expecting. You think we'd actually maybe would have figured it out by now, that we would have realized that when a game it has a beta and the final version is coming out in 4 weeks, it's like, that's pretty much the game. Like, that you're not really, we should be really setting our expectations a little bit more appropriately. That when we play a beta, it's like, that is like 96% of the way there, or whatever the number is, that kind of just trying to convey that like, you shouldn't be expecting like this vast overhaul by the time the game actually comes out. So I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm waiting for that to finally like click into people's minds. But I do think that conversations like these help that for sure. We need to just kind of, it takes a little bit of exploration and discussion and dialogue. And it would be really great to, you know, have some of these stories uncovered by the Jason Schreiers of the world. So I don't know. I would like to see more of that.
I would like to see, with this particular game, I'm curious what tale gets told when it's all said and done.
Well, this will be yet another example. If the May release is real, and the game very likely will roll out in the way very similar form to the way it looks like now, then it's another example that we will have to remember from now on about that's just what you should be expecting. That there's not a whole, like Anthem, which just came out on the other systems. One of the biggest changes they made from the beta or the demo, they call it the demo, to the final release is you could run in the main, like your main home world. That's it. That's one of the biggest differences. You can hold down a sprint button. That's the type of differences that we're looking at, you guys. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like maybe they fix a typo in a menu or something like that. Like that's the level that we're talking about.
Yeah. I think this thing, to be honest with you, playing this game, again, the controls are clunky. They need to fix the UI. There's some issues. There's some issues.
I believe you guys. It's a wonder how any Kirby game gets released, you know? The fact that they ever released.
That is all. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. Be sure to check out everything that Sean Capri is doing over on the internet. You can follow him, Sean Capri, over on Twitter. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Check out his Twitter chat or his Twitch channel. You kind of came back. You're doing a lot of Twitch stuff now.
Yeah, man.
Go check that out. Go give him a follow over there on Twitch. Check me out over on Twitter at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
That was our best show yet, Bobby.